Let's take you live to the Eskom briefing now. The Group Chief Operating Officer, Jan Oberholzer, leading that briefing this morning. Let's take you there live.
Unpredictable. And again, this is why we are currently in load shedding stage 4. The demand forecast for peak this evening is at 31,980. The capacity that we estimate to have available, excluding the 2,140 megawatts that we have available from open cycle gas turbines, is 27,013 megawatts. So again, we have a shortfall in generation capacity. We have to maintain a reserve margin, and as a consequence, we unfortunately again have to impose load shedding. The outlook for load shedding for the current week is that for today, we will continue until midnight with stage 4 load shedding. We will then drop 2 stages to go to stage 2 from midnight to 5 o'clock. And we will then again on Tuesday have stage 4 load shedding from 5 till midnight. The same pattern for Wednesday and for Thursday, and by Friday we hope to move to stage 2 load shedding from midnight to 5 o'clock, and then stage 3 from 5 in the morning till midnight. And then if all our units return as planned, we intend to then lift load shedding for the weekend to stage 2 around the clock. This is, of course, not the news that you want to hear. You want to have an end to load shedding far sooner. Unfortunately, due to the unlawful strike, we have suffered significant backlogs in maintenance. We've also had to operate the plants under conditions which are less than ideal. And we therefore will take a number of weeks to fully recover from the strike. I can, however, give you the assurance that our colleagues are working extraordinarily hard to recover from the after effects of the strike. On Sunday, we returned Letabo Unit 4, Kendal Unit 5, and Kusile 1. Those units are ramping up, particularly Kusile 1. It's a big unit. It can produce about 720 megawatts, but it's not yet running at full capacity. We are slowly ramping that up. For today, we've already seen Kriel 3, Medupi 5, and Indrina 7 return as planned. So that's very positive. Medupi 6 and Arnott 4 are anticipated to return for evening peak. And throughout the course of the week, we intend to have a further 12 units return to service by Thursday of this week. So you can clearly see that we are doing our best to return as much stability as we can to the system. Of course, this does not guarantee that the units that are currently online will continue to operate. They are susceptible to trips and failures, and that is why we do require the additional 4 to 6 gigawatts of capacity that we have been asking for some time now. We are in a good state as far as our emergency reserves are concerned. The team did a great job over the weekend of recovering those. We are sitting at 86% in our diesel tanks at Ankerlig, 100% at Gerikwa, and our dams are essentially full with only a couple of pumping hours remaining in order to bring them to full capacity. So from a reserves position, we are looking much stronger than we did during the course of last week. One of the major plants that will make a big contribution to improving the availability of capacity on the grid is the return to service of Koeberg Unit 2. Our Chief Operating Officer, Jan Oberholzer, will give further color on that and also make some further announcements on developments at Koeberg. But at this stage, the 920 megawatt that we can expect from Koeberg 2 is scheduled to come back onto the grid by the end of this month. That will play a major role in bringing enhanced stability to the grid. With regard to further capacity additions, at Eskom, we are resolved to do everything in our power not to stand in the way of adding new capacity to the grid by whatever means possible. We have therefore, as you are aware, made available land in Mpumalanga. We were very pleased with the results of the first round, and we received offers for 1,800 megawatts on 18 parcels of land, taking advantage of the registration relaxation for plants less than 100 megawatts. So all of those units will come in at less than 100 megawatts. This is all renewable energy. And we will make available a further 2,000 hectares of land for similar leases by August. And we anticipate that this will add about another 220 megawatts. We have identified further parcels of land with existing grid access that we will be making available to the tune of some 30,000 hectares. So this is quite a large extent of land spread throughout a number of provinces. So not only focused on Mpumalanga, but also in the Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Free State. And these will be released in phases. We are currently targeting quarterly releases in order to allow for IPPs to get themselves in gear to make those bids as and when they fall due. We anticipate that this will rapidly accelerate the addition of more generation capacity to the grid, and we are quite pleased at this opportunity that has been identified. I may also add that from a grid access perspective, we have been working very hard to streamline our grid access protocols, and we have halved the time for us to afford grid access from an initial 210 days to 105 days, from the first cost estimate letter to acceptance of the budget quote. This, I think, is a very good achievement. We are not resting on our laurels. We want to further improve and streamline that process, but I want to particularly recognize our colleagues who are doing really good work on removing any further obstacles to adding generation capacity by being as flexible as possible. Of course, this new generation capacity will not come online as quickly as we would like to, but we anticipate that over the coming 18 to 24 months, we will see substantial new capacity additions based on the results of our land lease program, as well as bid window 5, bid window 6, and other interventions that are under the control of the IPP office, operating under the auspices of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. The outlook, therefore, for load shedding is that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but we do appeal to South Africans to continue to conserve electricity. I have received many reports of streetlights being on during the daytime, office buildings with all lights burning at night. I can't imagine for a moment that we have so many hardworking office workers throughout South Africa that all of the office lights need to be on all of the time. And we appeal to all energy users to conserve electricity, particularly during the peak hours of 5 in the afternoon until 10 o'clock at night. We fully appreciate that it is cold, that people wish to make use of heaters, but we really do request your support to ensure that your electricity-hungry appliances, such as geysers, swimming pool pumps, and so forth, do not operate during these peak periods. If all 60 million South Africans make a contribution, we will really see a difference on the grid. And of course, the sooner that we can bring our peak demand down, the sooner we can relieve the impact of load shedding. So everybody's support in this regard will be highly appreciated. I thank you for your continued patience and understanding. We really are doing everything that we can to try and resolve this electricity crisis as soon as we can. This is, of course, not only an Eskom effort, it is also dependent on the support of various government and regulatory authorities. We are in discussions with all of those departments, and we are seeing a renewed sense of urgency to address whatever obstacles there may be to resolving this crisis. Thank you very much, Sikonati. I will now hand over to our Chief Operating Officer, Jan Oberholzer, to give us more detail and an update on developments at Koeberg.
Thank you, Andre. Good morning to all connected. After the initial recovery late last week, we have had an increase, unfortunately, in the stage of load shedding. And that, unfortunately, was due to a lack of, again, generation capacity to meet the demand of the country. Now, we can basically categorize it into three. Number one being generators that were limping during the strike. Those generators have now been taken off to attend to failures and defects. Then secondly, we had generator failures, notably boiler tube leaks. And then thirdly, generators that have been delayed in returning to service. The GCE briefly spoke about the illegal action, but there were 6 stations that were directly impacted, partial or in full, during the industrial action period. Those being Duva, Arnott, Matla, Hendrina, Camden, and Letabo. Now, the last.
Well, the briefing communique had said that Jan Oberholzer will be leading this briefing, but it seems that Group Chief Executive Andre de Ruyter is available. He says today until midnight will stay on stage 4. Some thought about reducing to stage 2 over the weekend, and he also says that unlawful strike has meant backlogs, lots of backlogs for Eskom, and he says they require about 4 to 6 gigawatts to get to a stable point.